You're listening to Blue Collar CEO, the podcast that's all about helping you build a better, more profitable, and more sustainable home service business. Each week, we'll cover a different topic that will help enable your company to move forward to success. And here's your host, Ryan Redding.
What is up, Blue Collar CEOs? It's Ryan. It is great to be with you today. I am going to have a really fun conversation with Jackie Stark. Jackie is the general manager of Yellow Dog Creative. They're a full-service marketing agency that specializes in marketing for the trades. In fact, we've had their CEO on our show before, Nancy O'Hare. Totally worth listening to her. But obviously, Yellow Dog and Jackie especially is passionate about utilizing marketing as an effective tool to help trades companies grow their customer and talent bases. On this conversation, we're going to be talking about how to build community into your brand because people want to feel good about the companies that they spend their money with. So let's honestly do whatever we can do to make that choice easy with them. She's going to give 3 really good ideas I want you to pay attention to. These are ones that you could start putting into practice today. Let's get going. Jackie, I am really glad to be able to get you on the show today. And for those who don't know who you are, they might know the company you work for. So let's just start there. Who are you? What do you do?
Well, my name's Jackie Stark. I'm the general manager here at Yellow Dog Creative. I've been here with Yellow Dog for just about 5 years now. And I kind of handle all the day-to-day stuff. We exist to market the trades. We're heavily involved with trades companies. And so I get to help people solve their marketing problems.
And you're, I guess, Nancy, who is like the alpha Yellow Dog? I don't know. Is there is there a corny way to say that that's on brand?
She is the leader of the pack for sure.
That's the way to say it. That's the way. Yeah, so she's been on the show before. She is an excellent human, and we did a root beer contest. Were you there for that?
No, I am envious.
Yeah, we got into this whole little spackle and she's like, I like root beer and I like Fresca and blah, blah, blah. Well, I ended up sending up a case of my favorite root beer, Spreckers, which
that's why we got the Spreckers. We did,
that's
yes.
Right, that was for me.
Yep.
And totally had you guys do blind tasting and there's Barks and A&W or something else. There's a mug maybe. And Spreckers won. It won the blind taste off.
I did participate in that. So yeah. What a great, awesome thing. So we're going to have to figure out something else now after we're done with this podcast to have a contest. It's one of our favorite things at Yellow Dog.
Yeah, you need to do a contest. Maybe tacos. Taco contests are always great.
Who doesn't love it? We've talked about doing chili. We should really get on that. But you're going to have to send us chili in the mail. I
feel like this is working the wrong direction. I feel like I should be receiving
You do all
chili.
The work. And we have all the fun.
Hold on a second.
That's what I want.
I don't know if I want to receive chili in the mail. Let me just unpack that guy for a second in my brain, because that sounds really bad. Okay, I digress. Because no one is listening to you wanting to get chili in the mail. God, I hope not. That would be awful. So as the GM of Yellow Dog does exceptional work, especially building brands. Like the videos you guys do, the sizzle reels, are some of the coolest around. One of the big things that's important to you is building this idea of community into brands. What? Well, I guess 1, what is that? What do you mean by that? And 2, why is that important for you?
So we always say we're storytellers of the trades, right? And so we know that every company that we're working with, it was started by someone at some point, and then they grew it into this company that has now come to us to ask them to help tell that story. And almost always a part of that story is this idea of being a community-oriented company where they're involved in the place they are. Because just by nature of the work that home service companies do, you're already helping people every day. It's such an ingrained part of the business model as it is anyway, that I think that it's just natural that people that own these businesses want to do it even more, to reach out even further. And so a lot of companies, will ask us for help in that area, or they'll already be doing it, but they'll have this attitude toward it where it's almost this humble, well, yeah, obviously we give back to our community, but we don't really want to talk about that. because then then they're bragging and then they're making themselves sound.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people complain about that. They feel like if people know about it,
it's
It
somehow
doesn't
bad.
count?
Yeah. And I mean, I
I mean,
couldn't disagree with that anymore, especially I think now, people, as the millennials, to get into generations, but as millennials are becoming the buying power and they're buying houses and they're the ones that you want, we're trying to capture them now so that we have them later. They want to feel good about who they're spending their money with. And, if they're getting quotes from companies and they have choice between company A and company B, and company A has done something in their community that they know has made a positive impact, it could be the deciding factor. And there's really, honestly, no downside to having community involvement in your company. It's great for morale for your employees. It's great for your brand, to be seen as a community leader. And it's really good to get your name out there. So, we always try to encourage people, if they're not doing it, to do it. And if they are doing it, to tell people.
So when you say to start doing it, I think a lot of people, hell, I've had conversations with guys where the first thing they think about is like, so do I sponsor the program at my local high school football team? Or do you get your logo on one of those fancy tabletops at the Mexican restaurant down on Main Street? You know what I'm talking about? It's
Yep.
like a 1,000 logos of 1,000 businesses that may or may not still be in existence.
Right.
When you talk about like community involvement, like what specifically are some things that you mean that does what's interesting for you?
Yeah. So, we have a few things that if people that are wanting to get involved haven't started anything yet. We do have a few kind of programs that are kind of easy barriers to entry, we feel like, that hopefully will get you kind of the most bang for your buck. One of those is sponsoring animals at a local shelter. We always try to go with no-kill shelters so that we don't have that, you better adopt Fluffy by Friday or we might have to, send her over the Rainbow Bridge. We don't want to do that. But
would you actually tell people that
no,
you're taking Fluffy and putting?
I would not do that. No. But there could be the implication.
Don't. The one thing I just want to make sure everyone knows: when you adopt an animal from a shelter, make sure it's not a shelter that has a time limit.
Yes, that would be my suggestion. Because the no-kill shelters too are the ones that are going to have animals that maybe are a little more difficult to adopt still there. So when we were originally doing it, we always called it the Lonely Hearts Club, right? And so you would have your home service company would have this Lonely Hearts Club, and you could offer to pay the adoption fee, sponsor that for animals that maybe have tough medical conditions that might require a little extra care, older animals that typically don't get adopted right away because it's always the puppies and the kittens that go first, or other animals that maybe there's some sort of reason why they haven't been adopted yet. And you sponsor that fee to kind of help get them home. That's a really easy one to do. You just have to call a local shelter and get that system set up. It's great for your social media, so we would create a post, say, this is our dog of the month and a little bit of information about the dog, a little cute bio that the shelter usually writes anyway. Put that up there, say we're sponsoring her adoption fee this month. And just do that monthly, and then at the end of the year, you have 12 animals that have found a home, hopefully thanks to your sponsorship. So that one's pretty easy to do. Another one that is fairly simple, but we feel like has a good impact is water bottles for area sports. So you can purchase water bottles and brand the labels for your company and then donate them to local schools so that they can then sell those and their athletic departments can make money.
Are there any like weird safety requirements or things like that if you're going to be food, or is it because the stuff's sealed?
It's already sealed. Yeah, you just go. There's plenty of companies that do it already. You just purchase the cases of water from them, and then they print the labels for you.
Could you take the cases of water and also give it to an animal shelter?
You could. You could take the cases of water and give them to anybody you want.
And then you could double dip.
Double dip. All about that.
So. But both of those are really like easy for people to get into.
Very
I
easy.
can totally see that. Like, it doesn't take a lot of planning. It doesn't take like huge staff to coordinate or whatever. It's just like,
and once
go do the thing.
Once you get the ball rolling, they kind of start to manage themselves. And if you can find, another good thing I think about community involvement is if you find the right charitable organizations or, what have you, they have their own network of really dedicated volunteers who are going to be excited that you're on board, that you're helping them with this mission that they have an emotional attachment to. That's why they're volunteering their time. And they're going to spread the word like crazy. So if you partner with local, Shelter B, and there's one incredibly dedicated volunteer who just loves that shelter, who's there all the time, does all the hard work, and they'll start telling people, yeah, Jackie's Home Services is sponsoring animals here. Like, you guys should really think about using them because this is what they're doing. That is a whole nother network of people that will get, that will hear your name, that will hear it associated with this act of goodwill in your community. Really no downside.
I was just ask about downsides. Was there any example of like someone trying to do a PR campaign and it backfiring? I remember, I think it was my undergrad. You're like studying all these like Fortune 500 companies and the things that they did. And there's always these really comical sort of efforts on like these things like blowing up in unexpected ways. Have you ever seen any of stuff like that happen with home service companies?
I not off the top of my head. No, no, I don't think so.
No, that's good. Because that's really bad. That's really bad when that stuff happens.
When you're talking about, stuff like this, it's pretty, you want to do a little research and make sure that you're actually giving your money to an organization that is actually doing good. That's part of it. So hopefully you're not sponsoring something that ends up just being some guy in his basement, sending emails and trying to get your money. But no, yeah, I have not heard about anything like that.
Like, I remember, I'm trying to think of like one, like was it in the 80s or like early 90s, Pepsi ran a contest. I want to say it was in the Philippines. And the company basically said, like, Pepsi came out and said, like, hey, we're going to give away $1 million to one person with one bottle cap, right? So go buy your Pepsi, and whoever gets this particular bottle cap, we're going to give you $1 million. The problem was they actually printed 800,000 of the same bottle cap that won.
No, that's really bad.
So like, it's this thing where, they're trying to do like, hey, look, we're doing something good, write all the press about us. And it is like,
yeah, that might be good for Pepsi, but I don't know that's necessarily doing community good. So I think that these are different things.
Well, that's true. That's true. You act like there's a third idea that you have that's easy for people to get into.
Yeah, there's another one, that we often suggest people do. This one is a little bit more complicated to get started, but once it gets rolling, it really does kind of take on a life of its own. And it does really play into that idea of kind of having your customers, if you will, do the work for you. So then it would be a monthly giveaway. And in this case, you have 3 organizations. And it can be actual 501c3s. It can be fundraising groups for any number of things. But you just suggest, so there's a voting widget on your website. And people can nominate charities or, a spaghetti dinner for someone who maybe is fighting cancer and needs more money for their medical bills, something like that. They put their charities or fundraising efforts into the hat, and then 3 of them get put out on the website to be voted on, and whoever wins gets $500 from you. And so in that case, you've got people who are telling other people, go to the website, vote for this thing because we want to win the $500. And when they go there, part of it is putting in their email address. So now you're also collecting email addresses from these people, which you can use in other marketing venues. And, you get the big check. And part of the caveat is to get the money, you have to come in and have a photo done with the big check. And then that can get sent out to whatever, newspapers, if people read those still. You can put it on your social, anything like that. And all those people that are involved in those 3 organizations are going to be pushing people to your website all month. We've actually had widgets get overloaded with votes before and shut down, so then we have to fix them.
Crazy.
Yeah, so that's a really good one. It does take a little more effort to get it going, but once people are aware that it's happening, you'll just start getting nominations all the time, and then you just got to switch it out every month.
That's a really clever idea. It kind of reminds me, it's a more evergreen approach and kind of a broader base approach to like what I've seen contractors do during like public disasters, like natural disasters.
Giving away a furnace to somebody that needs it.
Yeah. And I remember, I'm trying to remember, I think it was Wooten Plumbing, which is, we've had them on our show earlier on too, but they they did this thing. It was like $8,000 in 8 days. They basically were raising money for hurricane victims and Hurricane Harvey in
Yeah.
Houston. And they kind of encouraged all their customer base, like, contribute, right? Like a portion of every service call would go to the fund, but also you could directly contribute to the fund. And then the owner of Wooten Plumbing would directly match dollar for dollar all the customers' donations up to $8K, right? And it like throw it on their website, and turns out like, hey, local news stations end up coming out and interviewing them. Came out in the local paper. It was the same sort of like community involvement. Like it made people feel proud to want to be a part of doing business with a company who
Right.
was invested in people. You
Right.
know, but that was a one off. Like those are a little bit trickier. You got to find the right
Yeah.
the
No,
right
if you
cause to jump in.
if you can just bake it into your business and have it just be part of a normal procedure that someone is in charge of this and this is just a thing that we do, then that's when it becomes part of your brand. Then it's not, doing one large event is really good, but if you can make it just like, oh yeah, this is just what this company does and they do it
It's
every
a cultural
month.
norm.
Right.
Yeah.
And and it's a twofold approach too, because you have customers who feel good about where their money's being spent, but then you also have the staff who feels great about working at a place that does things like this. Everybody wants to work for the best company, and everybody wants their family members to work for the best company with the best reputation. And if you're looking, it's just something to give you a little bit of that edge. If you're looking at, I've been working at this company, I don't really like the way they do things, I don't really like the way they run, and you start looking around and thinking like, maybe I can make more money somewhere else, or maybe I can feel better about my job somewhere else, and you find this company that's giving $500 to help the Girl Scouts go on a camping trip, or and it's just a routine thing, like, oh, that's what they did last month, let's see what they're going to do this one. It's not just, I think it kind of helps play into that idea of people that are in this industry, that are in this space, do it partly because they enjoy the satisfaction of having helped someone when they're done with their job.
What sort of like, because I feel like a lot of contractors are so focused on like they need to attribute revenue, right?
Yeah.
They need to know that there's ROI. And the thing with these like sort of PR, community engagement sort of things is that it's very hard, in my opinion, to directly correlate revenue.
Couldn't agree with you more.
There's a lot of goodwill. There's a lot of sentiment. There's a lot of anecdotal feedback.
Yeah.
Right. There's a lot of stickiness, but how difficult is it for a company to say, hey, here's $500 we're giving to Girl Scouts of America.
Yeah.
And that they can turn around and say, hey, that investment got us this client relationship and this client relationship and this opportunity. Like, is that something that is going to be a struggle with these sort of public outreach PR things? And if so, does that make them less desirable to do?
I think if you're looking at it purely from an ROI perspective, it's difficult. It's difficult to justify any sort of really long-term branding because it's so hard to attribute something that you have taken years to build up and to make part of your process and say, yep, we can attribute 5% of our revenue to this specific idea that we had. But when you're talking about building a brand, it's not necessarily direct ROI dollars that you're looking at. You're looking at the long-term effect. You're looking at the things that you want people to associate with your company. That's what building a brand is. And so, it's not just increasing revenue. The revenue happens. If you're building a company that is exuding the things that you want it to, trustworthiness, helpfulness, being a good community steward. If these are things that you want built into your brand, then you have to do them, and you have to be okay with not knowing that right now I can attribute X amount of dollars to this specific thing. And I would also argue that these types of things are great for marketing. They're also just good things to do, but they are an incredibly cheap way to market your business. If you're looking at any other marketing avenue, $500 a month is not too bad. So it has this added bonus of providing that kind of idea of goodwill in your community.
Yeah, Heather Ripley at Ripley PR, I think she uses the distinction of like there's paid media and earned media.
Yeah.
So like paid media would be things like AdWords, for instance, or doing social media paid campaigns. Like you have to pay for those things to work. As soon as you stop paying, they stop working. But she would distinguish like what you're talking about when you get into earned media Now you do something humanitarian, give somebody the warm fuzzies of some sort, right? You hit an emotional button. And because of that, now people want to talk about you.
Right.
Like they want to champion your story. They want to carry your brand. They want to remember you. Not because you had the biggest sale or the coolest coupon or whatever, right? It had to do with like this kind of emotional, empathetic response.
Right.
And those are more powerful. Like
Right.
those become more sticky, even though they become more difficult to do data attribution to.
Yeah. And I was, I was doing a little research just on this idea of companies. I think we all know the big ones, the companies that are built on this idea of you give us your money and we're going to do good things with it. So you have Tom's, who is donating shoes, and you have Bombas, who donates socks. And, people have kind of come of age in a time where this is just a normal way to do business now. And so they're starting to expect a little bit more from the businesses that they deal with. So Gallup and Bentley University did this poll last year. And I just want to talk about a couple of these stats because I thought they were pretty interesting. But it said that overall, 55% of employed Americans said they would switch jobs to work in an organization that has a greater positive impact on the world, including 71% of employees who are aged 18 to 29, which is, that's the unicorn of technician. That's the person you want at your company because you get them young and then you train them the right way and hopefully they'll stick around forever. And then another one that I thought was really interesting. About 89% said businesses and companies have a great deal or some power to make a positive impact on people's lives. And they also said that charitable and advocacy groups are seen as having less potential, with 71% of people saying that they could do the same thing. And so that to me was real. People believe that business has a better chance of having a positive impact on the world than charitable organizations whose whole purpose is that. So I just feel like this specific area is really ripe for opportunity, and it's good for everybody. There's really nothing bad that comes out of being a good part of your community.
Yeah. The worst thing that comes out of it is people don't call you a tool anymore.
Like, right?
You mean like that guy? Oh, Joe, he's an asshole.
Yeah.
No one says that when you're adopting kittens.
No, it's good stuff. And I'll tell you what, we manage several of our clients' social medias. And the posts that get the most engagement and the most excitement are the ones where we're sponsoring animals. People they get excited about it. They love it. It's good stuff.
That's like social media 101 though, is babies and animals.
Babies and dogs. Yep.
It's like those little sugar, what are the little monkeys? Sugar monkey, sugar something?
Oh, I don't have any idea.
They look like little baby Ewoks.
I wish I could help you.
Sugar gliders. Gliders. Oh,
I've never heard of that.
Okay, that's
we
our
must
next
not
contest.
have them in Michigan. I'll have to look them up.
I'm going to send you a box of sugar gliders.
If it's candy, I'm good with it. That sounds better. Little monkeys? I don't know about that.
This is going to take a dark turn really quick, so I'm going to just turn the corner. Jackie, obviously, like you're so thoughtful about the way companies can like use outreach efforts like this to help build their brand. And I know that building brands is a large part of what Yellow Dog does. If somebody wants to learn more about Yellow Dog or get ideas for what they can do to like deeper their engagement in the community, how would they reach out to you or someone else at Yellow Dog?
Yeah, I'm always available by email, and it's just Jackie@ydcteam.com. And our phone is 906-273-2733. We're always here, and you'll probably, if you call and ask for ideas for community involvement, you'll probably hear a lot of these ideas again. But we really believe in them. We feel like they're very effective. But we're always looking for ways for our companies that we work with to get their name out there.
Yep, and these are all good. The thing I like about these is they're
simple.
There's some nuance and there's some ways. Yeah, it's something anybody can do. You don't have to have like a 500-person operation. It just be you and a couple guys, and like you could totally knock out a lot of these without breaking the bank. You know? Like they don't have to be overly complex. And yeah, really good stuff. Jackie, thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. It was awesome meeting you because I think this is the first time we've actually met.
It is.
But thank you for stopping by. Yellow Dog always does great work. I'll make sure that your website is also linked in the show notes also.
Yeah, yellowdogcreative.com. Should have said that.
You should have said that. But I got you. I got you.
Thanks.
Look in the show notes, people. Jackie, thanks for stopping by.
Yeah, thanks.
This episode was hosted by Ryan Redding, author of the book on digital marketing for plumbing and HVAC contractors, and founder of Levergy, the digital marketing solution for serious home service companies. You can subscribe to Blue Collar CEO on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Visit us online at BlueCollar.CEO and find us on Instagram. And don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with another awesome episode. See you soon.